easy year for him, right? As far as, you're signing that new deal. It ends up being a bridge, 2 years. He signed it in December, $5 million. So it's a nice increase. We know he didn't want to stay in Columbus. There's a little bit of the drama that went around that, gets the trade, goes to Winnipeg, had to deal with quarantine. And I don't know. He never has really looked like he has settled in. And I don't know if that's the pressure of the narrative that was around him. He had an excellent, series last year. I mean, he's had a really good career, and then he really showed up in the playoffs. And, we witnessed it firsthand against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Got himself a nice contract, a nice little bridge deal. But then, of course, it's the benching by Torts. It's the, did he demand to be traded? Did he want to be traded? What really happened behind the scenes? I don't know. Gets traded with Winnipeg. And I just don't know if that was too much. And I don't know if I'm making a story here. Obviously, this is pure speculation, and I only say it, though, based on stories from other players in the past who I've spoken to who have admitted that a lot of this extracurricular stuff on the side does weigh on them. Or is it 100% just hockey on the ice, who he's playing with, the system? Is it not working to his favor? Just what's happening with Pierre-Luc Dubois, who has 0 goals in 6 playoff games so far?
Well, number one, what I would say is the play of Pierre-Luc Dubois, or the lack of play, the lack of productivity by Pierre-Luc Dubois, has certainly exacerbated the loss of Mark Scheifele. Because you haven't just lost Scheifele, you've lost Connor and Wheeler now. So that has an extended impact on the team. But here's what I'll say, and like we can consider all the different things with Pierre-Luc Dubois, but Pierre-Luc Dubois is the common denominator in all of that. So you know what, people can do it. I can only tell you this. I've watched Pierre-Luc for a long time. Pierre-Luc has demonstrated that he can be a really good player, a really good, strong player in a lot of different areas. People saw it last year in that 5-game series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he's demonstrated it at previous times, and there's no question about it. The problem for the Winnipeg Jets and the problem for Pierre-Luc Dubois is that he hasn't demonstrated it at all in these playoffs, not at all. And at a time when he is needed, in the absence of Mark Scheifele, it's become more magnified. And I would say this, watching the Winnipeg Jets over the course of the season, and certainly since Pierre-Luc arrived and started playing, I could maybe count 10 games where you could say, okay, that's the Pierre-Luc Dubois that they were expecting. That's the Pierre-Luc Dubois I've seen. That's the Pierre-Luc Dubois that's more than capable of being a real impact player. He hasn't been. And he's not skating. He's not quick enough. He's not getting to the right spots on the ice. He's not forceful. He's being denied. All the things that are hallmarks of his game. So to me, he's not a bad player. He's just a player right now that's not performing very well. In fact, he's performing at an exceptionally subpar level. And, we can talk about it and look at the reasons. It doesn't change the fact that he's performing at a subpar level. And, there might be even more rationale for his performance when the playoffs end and we hear more about it. But at this point in time, you can only judge by what you're seeing, and it's subpar. We were talking just before you came on about Pierre-Luc Dubois, and I wanted to go back into your own experiences as a player. And when you're playing, you knew the strength of your game. You knew what you needed to do and what you needed to bring to the game to be productive, not only for yourself but for the game. But as you when you're falling away from it, the players know, and you knew. What did you do to try to find your way back to form?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's not always just about you. It's about working with your line mates and getting on the same page with your line mates, and it's a team sport, and you obviously want to take responsibility. And I think Pierre-Luc Dubois is the kind of guy that puts a lot of pressure on himself. But sometimes the right attitude is to try to look at yourself as part of a whole, part of a line, for instance. And he gets elevated to the top line with 2 really good players, and it's not just about what I'm doing as a centerman. It's about how, what can I do to help the line play better? What can I do to help Wheeler and Connor be better players and get the puck in their hands? And I think in a weird way that takes pressure off yourself. And it just looked to me like he was trying to do everything himself, and he was working very, very hard, but not necessarily working smart. And at the end of the day, it's about team play. And it's funny because he's been successful in the playoffs. It's not that long of a track record. Let's be quite clear about that. Two small examples, but this, they were definitely. This was a moment where they really needed him to step up, and he hasn't been able to do it. And to the point where they took him off that line for the third period in the last game. And I have to assume they're going to leave Stastny there for game